All right, guys, this week the Final Score is back again, and guys, this is a topic to this week, well, an event that's very near and dear to my heart. It's my alma mater hosts this event. It's a tournament. It's the Will Mclawhorn Memorial Tournament out at Northeast Academy. It's a baseball tournament. 4 teams play every year. This year it's Northeast Academy out of Lasker, Ridgecroft Academy out of Ahoskie Christian out of Ahoskie, and Bethel Christian Academy out of Askewville. With me tonight is a guy I can't say enough about. I mean, this guy has been around for probably the two biggest events in my life, and has had a lot to do with it, and I think the world of him. Pastor Willie Mclawhorn. Pastor Willie he was the one that baptized me, and he also did my wedding. So he, like I said, he's been around for two of the biggest choices of my life, and we bring him in right now to talk about this, to talk about the Will Mclawhorn Memorial Tournament. Like I said, with me, Preacher Willie. How you doing tonight?
Doing good, Stevie. Appreciate that build up there and intro. Well, if I've been in those two events in your life, that means I've been around for a long time.
Well, that's the truth.
I'm getting a few miles on my legs.
So have I. I can remember, and it seems like yesterday, when you first got to Lasker, and in that your little office, you had all those Sports Illustrated magazines, and I would sit there and go through all those Sports Illustrated magazines and look at them, because you had a stack of them up there. I was like, man, this guy is so cool. He's got Sports Illustrated everywhere.
Yeah, I was into Sports Illustrated back in those days, yeah. And I kind of got out of it after a bit and started. Well, there are other options now.
Oh yeah,
so many other things available to read and to do with. One of the first things I did, Stevie, when I was in the early teens, 13, 14 years, I got a subscription to Sporting News, which was
I did too.
A strictly baseball magazine back in the day, and
yeah.
And they'd have all of the box scores of the week and
right.
And all that kind of stuff, and along with articles and stuff. And so baseball in particular has been close to my heart for many, many years.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. I can remember getting the Sport News, and it had more than baseball in it, but when it wasn't the slick paper, it was actually newspaper.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it in the mail, and yeah, that was always nice. I always enjoyed, to me, Sporting News better, because I'm a big stats guy. I always enjoyed, like you, I enjoyed Sporting News better than I did Sports Illustrated. But nowadays, you don't have to worry about that. You've got everything, which, can be a good and can be a bad thing, too. But you've got it right at your fingertips now. And I've just missed the days of holding it in your hand and having a hard copy of it. But tonight, we're going to talk about this is the 11th annual Will Mclawhorn Tournament. Like I said, it's going to be at Lasker, Monday, April 18th at 4 p.m. start time. Then you'll have the second day, Tuesday the 19th, starting at 4 also. Talk a little bit about, well, first of all, let's talk about Will. Okay. You guys had left and gone to Whiteville about the time Will came along, so I didn't know Will very well. I knew him when you guys came back to Conway and when he went to Northeast. Talk a little bit about Will and how he was, and talk about his love for baseball as well.
Well, first of all, Stevie, when we left Lasker to go down to Whiteville, we were pregnant with Will at the time and didn't know it.
So he did. He actually was from Lasker.
Yeah, he was. I guess you could say he was conceived in Lasker anyway.
That's right.
But Will, he grew up enjoying sports, a lot of sports. But baseball, I guess, was his mainstay. And he might have got that from me. I don't know, because I was able to coach him in baseball. Well, I wasn't so good at football or basketball, I played Little League myself and got my start over in Rich Square with when Jack Womack was coaching over there.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Jack. And I learned a lot of my coaching from him, and but through the years, Will enjoyed baseball. I started working with him from T-ball when he was 4 years old. He played T-ball in Whiteville, and right on up, and we moved back up here. He continued playing, played some at Murfreesboro and Roanoke Rapids in the rec leagues, as well as in Jackson, the rec league over there in Northampton County. And then he played in high school in Northeast. In fact, we started the JV baseball team with his class, and that's how the JV team got started. I'm not sure that they've had one back in the day when you were playing. I don't know, but
we never had JV baseball or softball back when I was playing. Yeah.
Well, I always thought it was important. I mean, you got these guys that are 7th, 8th graders that they can't play varsity level. They need to be playing something other than rec league. And I've always felt like the more ball you play, the better off you're going to be.
Right.
The more you're going to learn, the better you're going to get. And so we were able to help get that started over at Northeast, and Will played all during that time, and like I say, he enjoyed it. He was I guess that's probably because of my coaching, but he was able to play any position I put him at. He used to catch early on, loved catching. In fact, we used to watch some of the Braves games years ago, and Javi Lopez was catching, and I remember he'd sit down in front of the TV set, and he had his had him a baseball cap that one of those mesh tops on, and he put that across his face and use that as his mask, and he'd sit there in the squatting position, and as the ball come in, he'd go right or left, however the ball was going, and then he got hit in the neck with a foul tip one time, and he never really wanted to get behind the plate after that.
Oh.
But I could put him anywhere on the field, and he'd do a good job for me. He basically was a pitcher, shortstop, first baseman. When we were out there, him and Rich Edwards were our main shortstops and pitchers, and we kind of interchanged them some. But I could put him at first base, and we used Eddie Mariners. And do a good job for me.
Yeah. So, as you said, and everybody that knows you knows you're a diehard Braves fan. Did you guys? I think I remember you guys took a trip to some Braves games.
Yeah, we went to several. The year, gosh, I'm trying to remember if that was between his junior and senior year or right after his senior year. We went to a Braves game. We were on vacation up there in South Carolina, not far from Atlanta. And while we were there, we just, I said, look, let's see if we can go to a Braves game. And so I went on the line and got some tickets, and we went down there. This was old Turner Stadium, and it was the night that they called up Brian McCann from the minor leagues. And he was out there on the field. Jeff Francoeur had just been called up, and he was on the field. And we were a little bit later than what I had wanted to get. We were walking around the concourse and checking things out. And when we got to our seats, which I decided I was going to splurge a little bit and get some good seats right behind the Braves dugout. And when I was walking through a concourse, he said, "Dad, quick, hand me your program." I said, "What do you mean, hand me my program?" He said, "Just give me your program. Give it to me. Don't ask any questions." So I gave him the program, and John Smoltz was back there signing autographs behind the stadium. And hold on a second.
Okay.
But Smoltz was signing things. What are you going to do? All right. Just don't mess with the inside of it right now. Huh? But Smoke was signing autographs, and he got in line, and it was about third one back, and they Smokes had to quit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we got to enjoy that night in particular. And I said we enjoyed a lot of the games. We watched it on TV together, and especially when he was smaller. Now, when he got older, he was interested in going and doing other things, but
right.
That worked.
So he graduates high school. What do you recall about when he made that decision to join the service?
Well, Stevie, he had broke up with his girlfriend, and they'd had some, and he had some issues. He'd always wanted to, and had always talked about going into the military. He had two career choices in line when he was a young, and that was Major League Baseball or Army. And so he went and decided to join the Army. He set out, he tried going to tech school, and he just went into school, and so he just called me one day and said, "Dad, how about calling the Marine Corps recruiter and the Army recruiter and tell them I want to talk to them?" So I called them both, and only the Army recruiter called back. And that's how we ended up in the Army. I went up there with him, and we were standing. He was taking some of the tests and stuff, and I was standing outside the recruiting office, and the Marine Corps guy come out, and he said, "Well, you can come over here to Marines." I said, "You had your chance."
Yeah.
He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I called and left word for you to call back, and the Army guy was the only one to call back. You didn't have interest." He said, "Well, normally if a parent calls, they're just wanting to get rid of a young, and so I don't usually follow up with it." And I said, "Well, that's your loss." You know? But he joined the Army and went to basic training at Fort Benning, and then was assigned to the 101st Airborne. He pulled a tour in Iraq for 15 months, and then came home for a little over a year, and then went back to Afghanistan and was killed in Afghanistan 6 months into his tour.
Yeah. And, of course, everybody around here, anytime somebody gives their life for this country, it's something. But when you have somebody close to home like this, it hits close to home, and can't imagine what you were going through. But I know you had a lot of support around here. A lot of people loved the Mclawhorn family, and But let's talk a little bit about what made you decide, hey, we're going to do this tournament. We're going to do the Will Mclawhorn Memorial Tournament.
Well, we decided we wanted to do something, and Ridgecroft already had the basketball tournament for the Brantley boy.
Yeah, Nick Brantley.
Yeah. And so we decided we'll play basketball at Northeast also, and enjoyed that. So we decided if somebody come up, one of the girls that Will was in youth group with, Ariel Ricks, suggested maybe a baseball tournament, and we went and did that, and we got it all together, and of course I talked with Joella, Joella Brown, the athletic director at Northeast, and the people that powers that be out there at the time, and they supported it. And Joella and Johnny Brown have been very instrumental in helping us get this thing organized and keep it going.
Yeah, it's definitely become. That's one of the events now that people always ask, when's the Mclawhorn tournament? I mean, this is 11th year. Of course, like we talked about before you went on there, we missed 1 year of COVID, but you still gave out scholarships. Now let's talk a little bit about the scholarships. You give out. Talk a little bit about that process that you do with giving out the scholarships.
Well, we started with a $500 scholarship and we decided we can give one to one senior off of each of the 4 teams. And we got out. We got some sponsors that have helped. Severn Peanut and Farm Bureau have been with us every year, and there are several others that have been here and there, with us on it. Troy Smith over TD Sports has done a good job, a great job in helping with T-shirts that we can sell at the tournament to raise money for the scholarships. And we've been blessed with the support from various groups at various times, and from the financing that we've gotten for the scholarship. And we've given out. I didn't get the exact count, Stevie. We've been doing this for 11 years, so we've given out at least 40 scholarships through the years. And some years we've been able to give a little bit more because of the gifts that we've gotten from and the support we've gotten from the community. And so we've impacted, you're looking at least 40 young men whose lives have been impacted through this scholarship. We've given out in excess of $20,000 worth of scholarship money.
Wow.
We give the money, and the money goes directly to the schools. Once the young man is enrolled in school and we get his ID number, we send the money directly to the school to be used for whatever they have need of, whether it be books, tuition, whatever it's in their account to be used as they need. And it's really been a blessing to be able to help some of these young men. It's not necessarily a whole lot. When you look at one book sometimes I'm going to eat up on most of that $500.
Right.
With the cost of books right now. But it's been really good. And it's been some good camaraderie with it, and support. The support has just been tremendous for it. We're hoping that if we get enough support this year, we'll be able to give again more than $500 scholarship. Last year we were able to give $750 to the young men who got it. So we're looking. We've talked about the possibility of expanding and maybe getting more teams involved. But then you run into the logistic part of having to, what kind of tournament you're going to schedule, how many days. We've been blessed with good weather for the most part, and it might be cold, but we haven't had to postpone any because of rain so far, and that's been good. But if you start expanding and go to a 3 or 4 day tournament, then you have to worry about the weather issue that much more, and getting people involved.
Yeah, you always run that risk. But like you said, the matter of fact, yesterday at the Northeast, or Monday at the Northeast game, we were talking about the Mclawhorn tournament, and somebody said, well, it may not rain, but you can just about guarantee one of those days is going to be cold. Out of the blue, it's going to be cold. But
well, I haven't checked the weather report this week or in the last day or two. I checked it over the weekend, and the long range plan was, we're having this 80-degree sunshiny day right now.
Yeah.
Well, Monday's supposed to be high in the upper 50s with overcast and 50% chance of rain. So
wow! So
the cold will be back.
Yeah. So we guarantee at least that one day. Let's just hope the rain holds off. So I can't say enough about this. You talked about that. It's not a lot, but with these kids going to college, and granted, I know I've got one getting ready to go right now, getting ready to graduate this year. Every little bit helps, and that's money they wouldn't have had. That's to help them. So that's how special this Will Mclawhorn tournament is. And guys, if you can get out, and support this. I mean, how can you not support this? This is a guy that gave his life for our country, and now they're coming back, and they're trying to give back to these kids with scholarships and a chance to play baseball, a chance to have a tournament, have good fellowship out there at Northeast Academy, as always.
Stevie, let me mention one other thing, too, about the scholarships. It doesn't have to be to a 4-year school,
right?
Nor does it have to be to your college. If somebody's going to a technical school or a trade school, like the Apprentice Academy or anything like that, we still give the scholarships to those young men too.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying, guys. You guys need to come out and support. If you come out, buy a T-shirt. We always try to buy at least one T-shirt, and my daughter makes sure she gets one. Before we get out of here, let's just recap.
Okay.
Northeast Academy and Ridgecroft, Ahoskie Christian and Bethel, 2-day tournament. Both days, April 18th starts at 4, 19th starts at 4. Now, are we keeping who's throwing the first pitch out? I mean, is this going to be a surprise this year?
Yeah, because I ain't got anybody yet. I ain't even thought about it. Stevie, that's just skipped my mind all complete. I'm glad you reminded me.
Well, at least I did something for you right there. Maybe we can work on somebody. We can get somebody down here to throw out the first pitch. But anybody listening out there, you want to throw the first pitch out, we'll talk to you. Before we let you get out of here, I always got to talk to you about baseball. And
all right.
We didn't get to talk last year, but this year we're talking. Your Braves win the World Series.
Yes, sir.
Happy man. I know there was a happy house in the Mclawhorn house that night. What do you think about the Braves' chance of repeating this year?
Well, I think they got as good a shot as anybody has recently. The problem is, it's been, 10, 12 years, 20 years since anybody's repeated?
Yeah, it's been a while.
The problem is you've got so many layers of playoffs.
Yeah.
That you have to get through in order to get there now. And they're changing the format around again this year, adding 2 more teams to the playoff situation. Steve, I'm old enough to remember, Stevie, that you only had 2 teams in postseason.
I don't remember that. I remember that all the division winners went, and that was it.
You had the American League and you had the National League.
Right.
And there's 8 teams in each league. And whoever had the best record played against each other for the World Series. I'm old enough to remember those days. Before they started all of the various levels of playoffs. But I think repeating now, especially in baseball, you work through a 162-game schedule. The injury bug can hit, and all it's going to take, you take somebody like even the Dodgers, if they lose, a couple of their top pitchers, that's going to hurt them.
Right.
The same thing with the Braves. Now, the Braves last year, other than Acuna and Ozuna, they remained pretty good intact most of the year. Soroka went out. But they did pretty good as far as the injury bug goes. But, I think the Braves got a shot this year. They're not looking too good this week. I mean, they lost 2 out of 3 to Washington, and the Reds, they split with the Reds 2 apiece. But, I don't know. Teams will go through things. You get into your small market, large market thing, and Liberty Media has finally decided to get off some money and help the Braves a little bit. There for a long time, we were like Baltimore didn't have anybody wanting to spend any money.
Don't even go there. Max Scherzer's salary is double what the entire Orioles roster makes. So geez.
Yeah, and you look, the Mets they've got a top-notch pitching staff. They got they got Scherzer, DeGrom, and Bassett. And
Bassett coming over from the A's. That was kind of a surprise to me. I don't know about you.
I kind of thought he would be traded, especially if they were going to, if Oakland was to break things down.
Right.
They got some pretty good talent back for him. And so that didn't surprise me too much. All it takes is two of those guys to get injured, and what have they got?
Nothing.
Depending
on what they bring up, if they got some talent, they could bring up maybe. But yeah, you just like you say, injury bug hits you, and that changes everything.
The injury bug hits you, and then again, you all your different levels of playoffs that you have to go through now, and so it makes a little difference, I think. But again, it makes it harder. Let's put it that way. It makes it a lot harder to repeat.
Right.
I don't think you'll ever see the day when you have the juggernaut of the 50s and 60s Yankees again.
Right. Well,
I'll be surprised. All of the Braves have won 4 in a row right now. I don't think you'll ever see a team win 12 pennants back to back in their division.
Probably not.
Like I say, the Braves have won 4. They still have 8 to go to get to that 12 mark.
How many? That streak they had back in the 90s. How long did that go?
I want to say it was 12, Stevie.
12?
It's either 12 or 15. I can't remember which.
Okay.
But it's gonna, a team's really going to have a lot of good luck to be able to pull that off again.
Definitely. I mean, the days like even back in the Blue Jays in the 90s, the A's. I don't know if the A's ever repeated, but they had good teams, but I don't think they repeated. Blue Jays, but let's hope, as a Baltimore fan, as a not a fan of the evil empire, let's hope we don't see the juggernaut or the 50s and 60s Yankees come around again.
Oh man. Free agency has helped preclude a lot of that stuff too. Well, back then you didn't have free agency like you do now.
Right.
Back in the 50s and 60s, it was you get on one team, drafted by one team, something like that. You stay with them forever until they decide they want to get rid of you.
Let me ask you this, and I did an interview the other night. We actually haven't put that out yet, but what do you think about a salary cap in Major League Baseball?
I think the union is too strong and it'll never happen.
Right. But in your opinion, do they need a salary cap in Major League Baseball?
I've never been a real fan of salary cap, Stevie.
Right.
I'm more of a capitalist, let the free market decide it.
Right.
It pains me when you got a team that I used to like a lot, the Kansas City Royals, that aren't able to do a whole lot of competing for these high salary people.
Yeah, that's what bothers me.
And so that kind of thing kind of worries me. And now they're talking about expanding, and adding more teams. I just don't know, how that's gonna. I'm not a big fan of expansion. Because it waters down the talent.
Yeah, it waters down the talent, yeah.
But, the salary cap, as much as I would love to see teams a little more equal,
right,
and have equal opportunities, I don't see a salary cap being the answer to that.
Yeah, I would love to see a salary cap because it just feels like with certain teams, the big market teams like the New York Yankees, the Boston Red Sox, and etc. Just like you said with the Kansas City Royals, the Royals can bring up and this has happened so many times in the past. Royals can bring a guy that they draft, bring through the farm system, turns into an all-star playing on that initial contract, and once he plays out of that contract and it's up, now let me ask you this: are you going to stay with the Royals, and they're paying you this amount, or are you going to go to the Yankees, who can probably pay you triple or quadruple what you're making, and you're in the national spotlight? It's just a no-brainer. Unless you've got a really loyal guy there, it's a no-brainer there. You're gonna go to the Yankees, and for the longest time, and I don't think they do it as bad as they used to since George Steinbrenner has passed and his sons have took over. They seem to me, it's not all the big flash, the big buys every year that like I was expecting it to be, but it seems like they want to get their farm system going, and
Well, let me ask you a question, Stevie.
Mm-hmm.
How many World Series have they won since they got Stanton and?
They haven't won any.
Okay.
So I'm hoping this is don't get me wrong, boy. I'm not upset at all about them not winning a World Series, but
yeah,
I was just like, I guess the way I am, I would like to see a more even playing field for some of these.
of these
small market teams.
I agree, and but I just don't see the salary cap happening with the union.
No, I don't see it happening, but I would love to see it happen. I mean, you look at how many years ago was it that the Royals actually won the World Series?
That was back in the 80s.
No, they won it again since then.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
That ain't been that long ago, Steve.
It wasn't that long ago, but that was that was when I was like, you got to pull for the. I was the biggest Royal fan all through that World Series right there. But, I guess it could happen if everything works out right. But, go ahead.
I remember back you talking about that, I remember when used to be the Kansas City Athletics before they moved to Oakland.
Right.
Okay? And that was back in the 50s. And in the early 50s, they were actually the Athletics were in Philadelphia. They moved from Philadelphia to Kansas City and then out to Oakland. But back in the when they were in Kansas City, they would trade a lot of their players even then to the Yankees. And the standing joke was that Kansas City was just a farm club of the Yankees, and it's free agency come in, and that kind of changed some things, changed some dynamics around a lot. When Curt Flood filed his grievance and won, and then Catfish Hunter kind of got the ball rolling even more, and the free agency thing kind of started, and that's when these guys start out. As far as I'm concerned, these owners will go out and they'll spend a whole lot of money on these guys. You like a Scherzer or DeGrom. Of course, DeGrom is still. I don't think he's hit free agent market yet, but. Syndergaard left this past year, gone to the Angels, but how much are the owners willing to pay for the product they're putting on the field? How much money are they making, Stevie, to be able to do that? Granted, some of these clubs like in Milwaukee and Kansas City and all don't have the thing to draw from, but these big city places that have these private TV contracts, like the Yankees with the Yes Network and Boston with NESN, they're getting paid buku dollars from just the TV revenue they're drawing.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then the cost, you go to a ball game, you can't take a family of four to a Braves game now and buy a hot dog and some popcorn and a drink or a soda and buy tickets, and then you pay for the parking. You can't do that, a family of four, for under $400, Stevie.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And I was talking to my brother the other day. and he lives down there outside of Atlanta, near Gainesville, Georgia. And he said the new stadium that they've got down there says there is no parking for it.
Wow.
He said during the World Series there were people paying over $200 to park in somebody's yard.
Good Lord. Oh my gosh.
You know, the parking costs more than the tickets did.
Yeah. It's
and you know, of course, if they're parking in somebody's yard, that's not going back to the owner. But some of these places, I know Atlanta used to at Fulton County. The parking, the big part of that money, a percentage of that money went back into the club or into the owner's pocket.
Right. Seems like they would want better parking there for that reason alone.
Yeah, and concessions are the same way. You know, and then you got all this. Stevie, I used to be a big baseball card collector.
Yeah.
And when they went out on strike in '94, I quit buying baseball cards.
Right.
I have not bought a baseball card since then. Because a big part of that money, same thing with the paraphernalia. You know, it goes back into MLB or into the union, and I draw the line. I'm not going to support that.
No, I can't blame you there. A lot of people feel the same way as you do. You know, you talk about how much they'll pay of Major League Baseball players, and it seems like every year it gets higher and higher. And I know we've got the contracts, the TV contracts with some of these teams that they're getting money from that. And you talk about tickets have gone up, concessions. But come on, some of these guys are making, what, $250 million? How in the world, where is this money coming from? I mean, I don't think they're getting all of that from that. It's I don't know how you can afford it. It's ridiculous to me. And I love sports. You know me, I love sports. But it's ridiculous that a guy gets paid $250 to $300 million to play a game.
A game, yeah. Part of it is, and part of it's a Ponzi scheme. Okay?
All right.
They'll sign a guy for 8 years for $250 million. Well, this year he'll only get, you know,
so much, yeah.
So much, and then next year, and they prorate it on out that way. And so it's not like they're paying him $250 million a year.
Right.
Okay, for a 10-year contract, you might get $25 million a year. But they're banking on the fact that they're going to have that money available 10 years from now to pay him. Some of it they probably have invested in other things.
Right.
That they're sure they're going to have that kind of money there. But it's kind of like, well, I'm going to charge you X number of dollars here, and I'm going to take that money and I'm going to give it to somebody else, part of it, and promise him that I'm going to give him something else down the road.
Okay.
You know, that's and you know, that's why a lot of them they'll defer. A lot of the players will have their contracts deferred or their money deferred.
All right.
For down the road. Sometimes they'll do that to help the team out to, you know, so they can sign somebody else for $200 million. But again, I don't know where it's going to all stop at, Stevie.
I don't either.
You know, and every time the owners try to rein it in a little bit, of course you got some guys that got the money, you know, like in New York, and they're just Cohen. He's just gonna, you know, it's no big deal to him to throw out that kind of money. But you know, if the owners try to rein it in a little bit, they get accused of colluding by the union.
Right.
And both are just making money heads over heels off of us.
Oh, it ain't no doubt about
poor
it.
Folks out here in the country.
So between that and I guess the NBA is the second. They're getting up there with the salaries now. NFL's kind of kept theirs under reins a little bit. Not where I mean it's ridiculous, but not quite as ludicrous as Major League Baseball and the NBA. But
yeah, I don't think the NFL has quite as strong a union as the other two leagues you mentioned.
Right.
And it's I don't know. It's I don't know what the solution is with all of it. If hard times catch up and start coming on, sure enough, and a recession hits like some economists are predicting, they might see things start changing around. People having to, with inflation going on, they're going to have to reevaluate where they're spending their dollars at.
Exactly. I think that's already happening a little bit now.
Yeah. Well, there's some of us that have already started that a little bit. Inflation is eating up our retirement big time.
Definitely. All right. Before I let you go, let's recap this once again. We've got the 11th annual Will Mclawhorn Tournament. This April 18th. Monday, April 18th starts at 4. Then you got the second day, the 19th, starting at 4 also. Northeast Academy, Ridgecroft Academy, Ahoskie Christian, and Bethel Academy will be the participants this year. So, any last words before we let you go?
No, just everybody come on out and enjoy yourself for a good cause, and for these young men to help these young men further their education, and pray that we have good weather. Yeah,
pray that we have good weather. And always, if you're coming to this tournament, bring you a sweatshirt just in case, because I guarantee you that one day it's going to be cold, and if what he says is true, comes to truth, like I'm going to say it like my old friend Mr. Earl Telliger said, it's a prediction, not a promise when you do the weather forecast. Prediction, not a promise. So,
right.
So, Mr. Willie, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Final score will be out this year. We will be filming. I'm going to try to film all 4 games. I know the first 2 games I'll get, and the championship game I'll get. We'll try to get that third, the consolation game on Tuesday. But thank you so much, Mr. Willie, and we'll see you Monday.
Thank you, Stevie, for all your support.
All right. Guys, that's Mr. Willie Mclawhorn on the Final Score.